My friends, the most difficult labor a soul may undertake is not the pursuit of knowledge, nor the conquest of the world's ambitions, but the quiet, invisible task of unknowing itself.
For the mind, in its ceaseless hunger, gathers experience as a bee gathers pollen. It builds a grand hive of identities, opinions, and memories until it mistakes the hive for the sky. It begins to say, "This is who I am." But what is this I? A shadow of yesterday's weather, a name whispered by others, a story written by time's indifferent hand.
To know yourself, you must first forget who you think you are.
The ego, that tireless architect of illusion, erects towers of certainty. I am this kind of person. I desire this. I must become that. Yet these towers, however tall, stand upon shifting sands. The first strong wind of life, a loss, a betrayal, an unexpected turning, and the whole edifice trembles. The self that depends upon its own portrait is forever condemned to repaint it, terrified of every smudge upon the canvas.
But there is another self, the deeper self, that does not paint, but observes. It watches quietly as the forms of identity rise and fall, as names are given and taken, as victories are celebrated and forgotten. It does not cling to the surface of life. It is the ocean beneath.
Ask yourself, when all your roles are stripped away, when no one remembers your name, your craft, your triumphs, or your failures, who remains to witness the silence? That silent witness is the true self, and it cannot be destroyed. It cannot even be defined.
You have not lost yourself when the world forgets you. You have only been returned to your rightful place. I once knew a man who labored all his life to be thought wise. He filled his library with the works of every great mind, quoted the ancients with practiced grace, and rehearsed his thoughts before the mirror as though they were performances. When he spoke, his words rang like polished brass, bright, impressive, but hollow. For all his reading, he had not yet read himself. One day, the fire took his house, and with it, every book. He wandered the ashes, broken, stripped of the one thing that had confirmed his worth. But as he stood among the cinders, something wondrous occurred. For the first time, his thoughts fell silent, and into that silence came a new voice, not borrowed, not remembered, but born from within. He had lost the man he thought he was, and in that loss, discovered the man he had always been. It is a strange paradox that we must forget to remember, lose to discover, die to awaken. But such is the rhythm of the universe. The seed must disintegrate before the tree can live. The wave must fall before the tide can rise. So too must the mind's proud construct dissolve before the soul can breathe. When you look upon the mirror, you see the mask that time has molded. Your habits, your preferences, your fears, your history. But beneath that surface gleams the eternal face, unchanging and unjudged. The trouble is, we have learned to mistake the reflection for the source. We polish the glass endlessly, terrified of any crack, while the radiant being behind it grows dim with neglect. To forget who you are is not an act of destruction, but of remembrance. A remembrance of the unconditioned self that existed before the world named you. The trees do not strive to be oak or elm. They simply express the pattern that is already within them. The stars do not compete for brightness. They shine according to their nature. Only man, endowed with self-awareness, imagines he must become something. He builds ladders toward the heavens,
never realizing the heavens were within him all along.
When you loosen the grip of identity, life ceases to be a performance and becomes a revelation. You no longer act, you are acted through. The river of existence moves freely, and you, no longer the stone resisting its current, become the water itself.
Have you not felt this, even for a moment? That instant in nature where you forgot your name? When the forest breathed to you? When the sea seemed to recognize you? When every thought dissolved into pure being? That was the glimpse of your true self. The one who has no name, no ambition, no story. The one who is eternal.
So long as you insist on defining yourself, you imprison the infinite in the finite. The mind carves its initials into the bark of time and calls it truth. But truth has no signature. It has only presence.
The child knows this instinctively. Watch him play. He is not concerned with how he appears, only with the sheer miracle of being alive. But the child grows, and the world begins its slow whisper, be someone, be better, be remembered. And so the pure current of being becomes dammed by ambition. The spontaneous joy of existence is replaced by the anxious pursuit of validation. We trade our birthright for applause. To know yourself, you must walk backward through that bargain. You must unlearn what the world has taught you to value. You must allow the self-image to dissolve in the light of pure awareness. Only then will you see that all along you were not the actor, but the stage upon which life performs. And oh, the relief when this is seen. The burden of constant self-construction falls away. The noise of comparison fades. The race toward a destination you never chose ceases. You begin to breathe again, not as a personality, but as a presence. Forget who you are. The name, the story, the struggle. These are garments of time. Lay them down, if only for a moment. Beneath them, you will find something vast, radiant, and utterly still. That is where true knowledge begins.